Support the Amigos podcast on Patreon or PayPal and receive cool perks and rad swag. Visit our page at everythingamiga.com/support.
Amiga, the first personal computer that gives you a creative edge.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Amigos. I'm John.
And I'm Aaron.
And today, Aaron, we're going to be talking about Ballistix.
Ooh.
Aaron, do you ever come up with new moves when you're toweling off?
Toweling off who?
Yourself.
Oh, myself. And you know what? You can only do so much, Boat.
Well, here's the thing. I noticed, and by I mean my wife. She's like, your shoulders are never dry when you come out of the shower. And I was like, yeah, because I'm going to bed. You lay down in the bed and you let the bed do the work. That didn't stand with her. She's like, no, you need to dry your shoulders off. So I came up with this new move where it's like I put the towel up there and I give it a little shimmy. Yeah. And I was like, man, I can't believe I haven't been doing this my whole life. I mean, this is right up there with the towel on the butt doing the twist. It's just like an upper version, and you're sort of around the neck.
You know what I find odd about that is a man with such slight shoulders as yourself, it seems like the water would almost just pass them by.
It does seem that way, doesn't it? I do have very narrow shoulders.
You know, when you're doing the towel around the neck thing with the pencil neck, it seems like you can cause so much friction there you could actually start a fire.
Yeah, I wish I had a pencil neck mustache.
Well, not the same, but yeah. That's an odd... Now, what brings that to mind, if I may ask?
Well, we're talking about Ballistix.
Yeah. What's the... I don't get it.
I just want to... Sometimes, Aaron, I just want to talk about what's going on in my life. I want to get real with you in the way that girl in that song with the Amish Paradise turning around the chair and talking real. That's sort of the way that I view the beginning of this podcast.
How about Florence Henderson?
She was from the Brady Bunch.
Yeah, she played the chick in Amish Paradise that was in the chair that turned it around.
Oh, okay.
Didn't expect me to know that, did you?
No, because it's Weird Al related.
You know, let's talk about Florence Henderson for a minute while we're on the subject.
Okay.
Have you ever seen the Paul Lynde Halloween special?
I don't know who Paul Lynde is.
Yes, you do. He was the center square on Hollywood Squares.
Oh, yeah.
Watched at your house.
Okay.
She was one of the many guests on that show. Since it is October, the season to watch the Paul Lynde Halloween special is upon us again. And if you look at the who's who on that special, you got Florence Henderson, who sings on that. A lot of people don't realize she could sing, dance, and act. She was a triple threat, Boat.
Yeah, you don't really see any of that on the Brady Bunch, unfortunately.
No, not really. Did she? Well, I mean, they did have a band.
Yeah.
And then you've got Tim Conway's on there. You know, he's great. You've got Witchy Pooh. You got the Wicked Witch of the West on there. Both of them. I think that's the only time they were ever together.
What year did this come out?
On screen. Oh, gosh. I can't tell you the exact year, Boat.
Was it in the 60s?
No, I think it was in the early 70s.
Okay.
You also got, this is the first television appearance of Kiss.
Oh,
They do two or three numbers on there, including Beth. Everyone loves Beth.
That's the
it's
slow
got a
one, right?
Vibe to it. I think they do Detroit Rock City, Beth, and Rock and Roll All Night. I think they do a triple.
That's a pretty good set.
And then, of course, you've got the legendary Paul Lynde, who I love that guy. He was always one of my favorites. So you got him in there. So if you're going to catch something with Florence Henderson, aside from the Weird Al video, I suggest celebrating the Halloween season with the Paul Lynde Halloween special. You can find it on YouTube. It's worth a watch.
Cool. Well, Aaron, I'll tell you what else is worth a watch. What's been going on over at everythingamiga.com this week?
Something's been going on there, and it is our good buddy. You know you've made it, Boat. You know when you know you've made it? You've got a professional writer and a seasoned author who's writing on your page, and here it comes. Our good buddy Jack Flack, a.k.a. Rob O'Hara, has put up part 2 of his Amiga Memories segment that he was writing. Now, I read this through, and it's funny the things he picked out, because he came to the Amiga a lot like myself. He went from the C64 to a PC, and then sort of detoured into the Amiga years later. and I came from the Coco into the PC and sort of detoured into the Amiga. But there are striking similarities how we got here, and one of the things that got us here was the amazing and stunning revelation that you could play Dragon's Lair on a home system computer. I couldn't believe it when I saw that, and sure enough, he mentioned that too in his article. He also mentions Walker and Pinball Dreams. Good stuff from the Flaxter. If you want to read the second part of his Amiga Memories contribution, and I suspect we will get many, many more contributions in the near future. But we got a lot of good writers amongst our buddies.
Yeah, man.
So
yeah,
it's awesome.
And
it's awesome stuff.
I've got to say, I went back and I watched this since Flack embedded it in there, and it is uncanny. I mean, when you talk about what else was available for home systems at the time in terms of Dragon's Lair ports, you had that awful NES port, various adaptations of Dragon's Lair. This was the arcade game. Amazing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I remember seeing that. I was like, man, that's it. It's funny because years before, the word on the street was that the console that was going to get Dragon's Lair was going to be the Coleco, because Coleco had worked hard on a peripheral to play Laserdisc games. It just didn't happen. They did have a Laserdisc, or they did have a Dragon's Lair that came out for the Coleco Atom. But it's nothing like this. Although it's better than the Nintendo version, that's for darn sure.
Yeah.
Before we move on from this, Flack mentioned something in his article I wanted to touch on. He was talking about owning a C64 during the early days of DOS, and how the C64 crushed DOS because DOS had CGA or maybe even Hercules, and DOS had no music. DOS was crap, in the day.
Right.
But he said the dirty little secret is you could upgrade a DOS machine. You can't, of course, you couldn't really upgrade a C64 or a Coco, not to the extent that you can a DOS machine with a video card and whatnot. And it's funny, that was as simple as a concept as that. It was sort of a startling revelation to me back when I was younger, to see the PC catch up and eventually pass even like the Coco, which the Coco used to crush the PC in the old days, and then it's funny, one day you wake up and you have switched sides, Boat, and now you are a PC owner, no longer owning one of these other machines. I remember that that was a weird feeling when I finally got my first DOS machine, but just something he mentioned there I thought was kind of neat.
Yeah. So if you want to check out Flack's article as well as the wealth of other long-form content, Amiga-centric and other system-centric, head on over to everythingamiga.com. Aaron, it's been a banner week for the old YouTube channel. We've had all kinds of great stuff, none of which was by me, by the way. This was all the rest of it. Everybody else.
You're in heaven. Yeah, we had a good week of interesting and diverse things. Let's kick it off, as we always do, with the Brent and yours truly, as we toiled on ARG Presents this week. And this week we rolled another of the locked pieces. It was your favorite boat, the Atari 1200 XL. And we actually picked we lucked into a couple winners here, I think, in a game called Electrician and NYC, New York City, The Big Apple. This was Bizarro week, so we picked each other's games. So I picked Electrician for him, and he picked The Big Apple for me. I had forgotten about Electrician, I'll be honest with you. And so it's what I thought, man, this looks great. I'm going to pick this for him. And it turns out it is great. I really enjoyed this game.
Yeah, this is amazing. Amazing.
The Big Apple. I swear, I think I saw you play this once.
I think I have played this on a stream before.
And this is another game that's it's quite a game, I have to say. Both these games are very good, and they also accentuate the things that the Atari did well. I think the Atari 8-bits are underestimated in their ability to play really good games and be original. And these are two great examples. So if you're into that sort of thing, wheel on over and check us out, ARG on the 1200 XL. Now, Bo, we've entered October here, as you know. But we just slipped out of Septandy.
Yeah.
Septandy, the huge internet movement to give coverage to the Tandy line of computers. And I'll be darned if I'm going to let Septandy run out unless I get me a little something. So I told the Brim, like, listen, let's do it. Let's do something. So we did. We did the Coco Show episode 16. We covered the Temple of Rom boat. In fact, I even heard from the guy that wrote this on the radio on the Coco Talk Discord, and he was actually surprised that someone covered his game. I was afraid he was just going to kill us, but I like the game. Temple of Ram is sort of like a scrolling screen version of like Venture. If you remember that game that was big in the arcades and on the ColecoVision, where it was very well received. So if you're into the Coco or just want to celebrate a system that doesn't get a lot of press, except for maybe here and the guys that were Coco Talk, then go check out Temple of Ram for Coco Show episode 16. Now this one, Boat, I believe this was a dunk joint. This next one, Magica, for the Commodore Amiga. Have you played this yet, Boat?
No. In fact, this was the first time that I'd seen it when I watched this video.
Yeah. The Dunk got the early jump on coverage from Magica, which is a game that is out now. It's a unique game. I guess would you say this is a homebrew title it just came out like a couple days ago, right?
This was originally an Amstrad CPC game. I'm reading from the video description here. So this is I guess maybe there was an Amiga version in development that has just now seen the light of day, or maybe this was a port. It says it was converted by Andy Noble, and this was just released, I think, this past week. So yeah, it looks really good. It's very Bubble Bobble-esque. Although there are no bubbles. It's a single screen platformer. I guess it may be more like a Parasol Stars. It's sort of the characters remind me of a Nintendo game called Mindell Palace, although this is a different viewpoint. But what you're trying to do is you're trying to knock the enemies against the wall. You know, you shoot them with your wand, and then you knock them against the wall, and then they disappear. You move through the stages. I love single screen platformers, so I'm definitely going to be checking this out.
This is right up your alley.
Yeah.
By the way, Dunk does say that this was an Amstrad game, but it was released in 2018.
Oh, okay.
Or 2016. So this is a port of a newer Amstrad game. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
So thanks for the info, Dunk, and well done. Dunk did a great job on this. Boat, getting back to Septandy, you had to get you a little something.
I could
also
also
gonna let me and Britt have all the fun.
I could also not let Septandy pass me by.
That's right.
Especially because of the plethora of gifts that I received from our listener Rob, who tuned in for the International Computer Club last week, and I guess Aaron did me a solid, and all of a sudden, thanks to Rob Inman, I came home to a switcheroo unit, which allows you to do Coco RGB to SCART, a SCART to HDMI converter, a bunch of different miscellaneous cords, a power strip, everything I needed to get this thing running in RGB, glorious RGB. You know, Aaron, I've always been a fan of RGB on the Coco since day one.
You know,
and
no one has badmouthed. The only thing you hate more than RGB is AGA. You badmouthed that. How many times have you told me I'm never doing this? So when you actually did it and then you loved it, I was so happy.
Well, what I discovered is that sometimes you just need to let go of your old prejudices. And
is that what you discovered?
And my prejudice was against playing classic systems with real hardware on an LCD monitor.
Uh-huh.
And it turns out it's not so bad. It's not so bad.
Oh no.
And I was able. This was an all RGB stream. Again, Curtis helped me out with the choice of games. Well, we played some Digger 3. We played the holiday preview, which I actually believe is the ultimate version of Digger 3. I've always said that the holiday preview is this sort of a magnum opus version of Digger 3. All the later releases sort of went downhill. And we played a little bit of Pac-Man, the Pac-Man, what do you call it? Transcode, sort of like.
This is the first time I'd seen this. Very impressive. But...
Yeah. I wish that they just could have like shrunk down the screen, kept the aspect ratio, and shrunk down the screen, because the scrolling is the only thing that I thought was a little bit distracting.
I thought the scroll was good.
You like the scroll?
I thought it was as good as you could possibly be.
Well, yeah, I mean,
really
but if you can choose between a great scroll and no scroll on Pac-Man, you're going to go no scroll all day long.
No, I'm going to go a great scroll, because it's not a vertical monitor. You can't get Pac-Man unless you want to shrink it down.
Listen, man, I'm playing on an LCD. Good. This thing, I can flip it over to Tate mode like nobody's business. They should have included that feature in the transcode. Get on it, the Coco devs.
You're so jealous. You're so jealous of the Coco and its success. Just tell everyone how great this is.
So anyway, I went through here. I played Photon, which I think is Curtis's favorite Coco original game. I played it's not Super Sprint, but it's a Super Sprint clone. It was garbage.
Yeah, that was good too. What?
Yeah, it was garbage. And then we finished things up with some Xenix and Gantlet, Aaron. Gantlet.
You know, I'll tell you something. Xenix looked way better on the RGB.
It does. It really looks great on the RGB.
It looked good before, but it looked like $1 million on the RGB. And Gantlet looked pretty good too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I had a lot of fun. It's always a good time playing Coco. I love the Coco. And playing it in an RGB is going to be the way that I play it from now on. I'm never going back to the CRT with the Coco.
You're such a cool guy now. Look at you.
I am.
I never thought I'd see the day. And on original hardware, if I had a nickel for every time you told me you were done with original hardware and you were never getting RGB, I'd be a millionaire.
All right, Aaron, we got one more video on here, and it comes to us from who?
Our boy, our good buddy, the Flackster, Jack Flack, a.k.a. Rob Flack O'Hara, with Sprite Castle plays Bounces. Now, I've never heard of Bounces, Boat. I'll tell you. I have never. It's another one. He digs these things up.
Mm-hmm.
Because last time it was Mancopter. This time it's Bounces, and this has got to win the award as the wackiest thing I have ever seen in my life. If you haven't played this game, Bounces, it's a sword fight combined with highlight between a knight versus a Viking, each of which has an elastic band strapped to their belt and attached to the wall behind them. It's as goofy as it sounds. I mean, it is the goofiest game I've ever seen, but it looks kind of fun.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
It's so strange. But Flack plays this for a good while. If you want to watch him, it's a Sprite Castle plays. And if you want to catch the podcast about this, that just came out along. We should also mention that our buddies over at Pixel Gaiden just released their podcast dropped just like 2 days ago as well. So on the Amigos retro gaming stream, you can check all those out, Boat. Yeah. All kinds of glorious goodies.
All right, Aaron. Speaking of glorious goodies, get ready for the robot.
Hold on a second before you get to the robot.
What?
I forgot one thing.
Listen, man, you can't rewind the robot.
Okay, well, what happened this week on This Week in Retro, Boat?
Oh, yeah. We should probably talk about that.
Because it was a good one this week. Very thought-provoking.
You know, this week, Neil and I went over what we consider to be the top headlines in the retro world. And the number one story, Aaron, was a place that I've actually been to before. This was Sega Building 2 in Tokyo, in Akihabara. It closed its doors. This is one of these iconic retro gaming monuments in Tokyo. Floor after floor of arcade games and crane machines and all kinds of that stuff. Apparently, the audience for that is dwindling. Maybe Sega is looking to raise some more cash. For whatever reason, they have closed this down, and it's a very sad day.
I found your conversation about visiting your trip to Tokyo, that area, very interesting. Super Potato and whatnot. Mm-hmm. You hear about these places, but it's kind of neat to hear from someone that's firsthand.
Yeah.
And I guess when you were there, the prices were pretty darn reasonable, yeah?
It was amazing. I mean, everything was super, super cheap. And like I said on the show, what I've heard is that the owners have caught on to the fact that everybody was coming from America and loading up and going back and reaping the profits. And so they've raised prices accordingly. So maybe the scene isn't as good as it used to be, but there's still, I'm sure, there's tons of stuff that I bought over there that I have still never seen for sale here. So
that's the kind of thing that can only last for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's that, when you've ran through all the rummage sales, and then you've ran through all the swap meets, and then you've ran through the eBay, and now so the next thing in the line is the cheap imports on stuff. And before everything evens out, which is effectively what happened. So it's kind of sad that went away. But I'm sure it's much like yard sales and Goodwills and stuff. Every once in a while over there, you can probably still catch a bargain. But hopefully the whole area doesn't just go away. I can't imagine that. I mean, video games are still really popular here. I'm assuming they're still really popular there.
Yeah.
And retro gaming. I mean, that was a pretty big deal in Japan, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, like, Japanese people in general take meticulous care of their games. So whenever they would trade in a game or sell a game back to a shop, it would always come with the cardboard box and the manual and all the inlays and everything like that.
Yep.
So you can buy carts complete for what we'd pay for loose carts here, just because they're so commonly found complete. So it's a totally different scene. And I was lucky to go with a guy that was actually living in Japan. He was in the Navy band, and he was stationed over there. And he was like, well, this place is cool, but I'll take you to some place that's a little off the beaten path. It was called Hard Off Book Off. Yeah. And this place was where you got the real deal. So I was very lucky to be able to make that trip. It's hard to believe it's been over 10 years since I was
Hard
there.
Off Book Off?
Hard Off Book Off.
Was Yakov smearing off the unit? That's a lot of offs in there.
We also talked about a new TurboGrafx 16 game, Aaron, that's called Jessica Yeager in Cleopatra's Curse. This is actually developed by one of our Discord buddies, Kit. He's got a buddy that is developing this game. Have you looked at this at all?
I haven't looked at it, no, but I saw him talk. I saw you guys talking about it in Discord.
Yeah, I think
that's awesome.
It's a Metroidvania game, but it's got this Egyptian, Indiana Jones motif. I think it's going to be a big hit. Of course, it's already reached its goal. If you're interested in getting, they're making a TurboGrafx 16, a SuperGrafx CD, and a Genesis version, Mega Drive version. So you can check that out if you are interested. We also talked about Ken Johnson, I think is his name, the guy from Sierra. He's written a new tell-all book about the fall of Sierra Online, which is one, I guess, the biggest fraud story in video game history in terms of financial losses and stuff like that. So I'm always interested in postmortems, watching a once great company come to its end. So I'm going to be checking that out. We also talked about the XP leak. Windows XP, the source code is now freely available.
That is interesting,
on the internet.
isn't it? It'll be interesting to see what becomes of that.
Yeah. So anyway, that was This Week in Retro, hosted by me and Neil, aka RMC. You can check that out over on the This Week in Retro YouTube channel or through your favorite podcatcher. Aaron, now the robot's he's already come and gone. The gamble train's already halfway down the road. We got to just jump right in here in the news. So let's start off by talking about something I just love talking about, and that's Doom clones on the Amiga. There's nothing I like more than another Doom clone on the Amiga.
You're back in your element, bud. Go to work.
So this is actually pretty cool, though, I must admit. This is there's a team that is converting this thing for the Amiga, and John Sarkis from Pixel Glass, which is a pretty big developer, has joined the team to bring new graphics to the project. And this is a development video, and I guess this is called Dread. And
clever.
And basically, they show the before and the after of like the old weapons and the new weapons, and they take you through all the different sprites. And some of these, I mean, it's a real improvement over the original. So not only they're aiming to port Doom to the Amiga, but they're aiming to graphically enhance it in a way that is still, loyal to the source material. So
have they mentioned the system is going to require to play this game?
I think you probably need about an 080 with about 16 gigs around. To make
That's
this
what
thing
I was
go.
going to. You need triple AGA mega memory of Doom.
You need a dual Ombre graphics card to make this thing work. But it will be interesting to see what comes of this. I think it's been in development for quite a while, so we'll definitely stay on it as development continues, Aaron. Next up, there is a new director's cut, an extended remix of Viva Amiga. Aaron, do you remember this movie Viva Amiga?
I sure did. I did watch that back when it, not right when it came out, about 6 months later. I think I caught it.
Yeah, this was originally, the running time was about 64 minutes. Mm-hmm. The extended remix, Aaron, clocks in at 2 hours and 20 minutes. So it's almost 4 times as long. This is like all of the footage they had on the cutting room floor.
That actually sort of worries me when you've doubled and again your video. And we're gonna be listening to like the great music makers or programmers talk about what they had for lunch, like what color the car is.
Hey man, some people dig that stuff. Some people want to know what color Dave Haney's car is. So.
Well, Dave Haney, sure.
Let them live their life. Viva Amiga is available. This is available to rent for $6.99. You can buy it for $12.99. The extended director's cut. This is available over on Vimeo, and you can check the link on our show notes to get to that.
I liked Viva Amiga. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah. I thought that this was one of the better Amiga documentaries that we've seen. Next up, Aaron, there's been all this talk about people making open source recreations of Amiga boards. We've seen this with the 500. We've seen this with the 1200. Now it's time for the 2000 to join the fray, Aaron. So this is a link to a GitHub page that has the entire board laid out. So I guess the hope of this is that you for the hobbyist out there, you print yourself a PCB board. You go to the place that Neil recommends, PCB Way, and you tell them, hey, make this thing up for me and send it to me. And then you get your 3,000 or 4,000 resistors and various wires. You harvest your chips from Amigas with dead boards, and then you put it all together, and then it doesn't work. And that's
Wait, no, that's if you do it, Bo. If someone that's skilled, they could probably pull it off.
Yeah. So this is, I think that these types of projects are really cool because it does call to mind the old Heathkit sets of old. When you used to build everything from a kit, and this is sort of the modern equivalent of that. And you have something actually useful at the end of the day to an Amiga 2000 that you have built from scratch yourself. Pretty cool.
It reminds me of the we just did on ARG. We did a show on the NASCOM 1 and 2, which were British kit computers from the late 70s. And I remember that they were each one of these things had 3,000 solder points on it that you had to solder in.
Wow.
Now, I don't know how many this would have. It could have more. We don't know. The difference on this is going to be you're going to be harvesting parts. That part right there is the part that scares me. I would be all for like putting together one of these things, but the idea that you're going to pull parts off of allegedly a bad board or whatever, I don't know, man. That part worries me. But I mean, people braver than me are doing it successfully, so more power to them.
Listen, I've read all those comments on Gary Hucker's video. I know how to remove a capacitor from a board.
Yeah. Gary knows. That's for darn sure.
All right, Aaron, our final story is a new PDF magazine that is Amiga. It's sort of Amiga. It's Commodore and Amiga based. This is a magazine called RevNGE, which stands for Retro Emulator Vision and Game.
Wow.
This thing comes straight out of iTally, Aaron. This is a dual release in Italian and English. And I was paging through this before the show started. And one of the first reviews that shows up on this one, bar games, Aaron. They take a look at bar games, your favorite.
I bet they dig it, too.
One of these days, you'll do that part, too.
Now, hasn't this been around for a while, this magazine? Because I know I've seen it referenced many, many times.
This is number 114, so they've been around a while.
Yeah. I've actually looked at this over the years. It's interesting. I enjoy it. I try to dip my toe in many a pool to get the facts, but
yeah, man, I know. Well, that's going to wrap things up for the Amiga news this week. A little bit of a slow week for Amiga news, but next week I'm sure things are going to come back hard and heavy. But it's probably a good thing that it's a short week for Amiga news because it's about time we talk about Ballistix.
Oh yeah, it's time. It's time.
It is the 90s, and it's time.
That's
for
right.
Ballistix.
So here we have Ballistix, Bode. Now, this is a game I had played and heard of before, Bodester. And have you ever had a cup of coffee with this one?
No, never.
No, it's your first look. So,
I would have been so turned off by the cover art alone that I never would have played this game.
Well, we're going to get to that cover art, Bode. Don't worry about that. So this came out in 1989, Bode, on a disc. And it was published by Cyclops, which is I think this is sort of the budgety arm of Psygnosis.
Yeah, this was a budget title.
They were under this publish name on the Amiga. You got Anarchy, Ball, Captain Fizz, Matrix, Marauders, and Menace. First there was Menace. You also got Nevermind, Spellbound, and Strix. Now, I have played Ball, I've played Anarchy, I've played Menace. And so this is sort of their lower end stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This was developed by Reflections, Boat. Now we just covered
he's in the chat right now.
Who's that?
Reflection.
Oh yeah. Well, what were you thinking? But this was developed by Reflections. Now, Boat, I'm going to tell you something. We have completed the Reflections. We've covered every game they ever made on the Amiga.
This is it. This is the final one.
And we'll get after this is over. I'm going to have you rank these games.
Okay, man. Okay? That sounds good.
But they did. I'm going to tell you what they are, so you'll know.
Okay.
They did Awesome, of course. Brian the Lion, Ballistix, and the Shadow of the Beast games. All right. By the way, just a little food for thought. These guys also also had a hand in doing Driver and Destruction Derby on the PlayStation.
Is Driver the game? The third one replaced the E with a 3.
I believe I believe so. But I mean, listen, I don't know if they were in that far in, and I know the big guy that put this together. Those were his babies. I was a big fan of Destruction Derby, Boat.
Yeah,
when that came out.
I know you like those games. Game.
Yeah,
that was for the Xbox, right?
That was for everything, PC, Xbox.
I remember that infamous episode of ARG Presents.
That was a different game. It wasn't infamous. That was awesome. The price for this game at launch, Boat, a mere £20. £20, Boat.
I feel like £20 is pretty expensive for a budget release, to be honest.
Well, hey, listen, I'm sure it dropped quickly. So this was the people that worked on this were it was coded by Nick Chamberlain, Paul Howarth, and these guys worked on a lot of the Reflection stuff. The concept for this game and the graphics and the music were done by Martin Edmondson. He was the one that also was the guy that was driving force behind Driver and Destruction Derby. I think his brother Tony also worked on the graphics, and a fellow named Ray Norrish worked on some of the music as well. Now, the box art for this, Boat, was done by a fellow named Melvin Grant, right? And that box art is a painting called Steel Czar, and it was originally used for the cover of Michael Moorcock's 1981 novel, The Steel Czar, or Tsar. It also appeared on the 1987 reissue of Rock'n'Rolla, the first album by Judas Priest. So there you go.
Really?
Yeah.
So this guy made bank.
According to the trivia aspects that I found on it, that's what I'm coming up with.
Well, I'm sure nobody would lie about a Judas Priest cover.
They will lie. But anyway, this was. I guess the bottom line is.
I want to talk to you about this cover a little bit.
Okay, please.
So I saw this. May shock and surprise you. It still shocks and surprises me. I watched the new Mad Max movie. I guess it's not new at this point. It's like 5 years old.
It does shock and surprise me. I haven't seen it, so yeah.
There is, in one of the dumber scenes of the movie, a movie that was pretty dumb all the way around.
It was much heralded.
Well, not by me. There is a guy on the back of a truck that's bungee corded to a truck playing a flaming guitar.
Okay, cool.
Okay, this is his role in the movie. He rolls around with the gang playing a flaming guitar bungee corded to a truck.
I like that.
This guy is right out of that. I think that this is where that scene came from, because this guy, look at that, that is a guitar strapped to his waist, right?
I think so.
So this is it. So I hope that in addition to the Judas Priest cover, the novel cover, and the Ballistix cover, he got a little action from Mel Gibson and crew, or whoever did Mad Max.
It wasn't Mel Gibson, I can tell you that. You know, I liked it if it got bungee corded to I mean, it's Mad Max. You got to listen. Me and Tree were watching this thing on these new haunted houses that are cropping up for October, and one of them was a zombie land, and they have it set up like it's the military leading you through a city, right, to be more realistic, right? The zombies come out, but guess what's in the background, just wailing, is some heavy rock guitar, which makes no sense, because why would the military be pumping that in just to get you fired up? So it's the same thing when you're in a Mad Max where you need that guitar just to get you going.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Like, I was just expecting more because people had heralded the cinematography and all. I was expecting like Lawrence of Arabia. Yeah, but it just you know, there were scenes like the colors were really nice, but the plot was just so dumb.
What is with you and the colors of stuff? Real life has all the colors, Bode. It's a movie. It's supposed to have all the colors. By the way, you expected more and you were disappointed. Keep that mindset as I continue going through this. So This played on the OCS, no problemo. And as I mentioned, it came out at $20. It did get. I saw 3 different boxes for this thing, Boat. The original Cool Guy box.
Is this the oversize?
Yeah, well, it's not oversized. It's just a normal box. Then I saw the Sizzler box, which is, the when this went to Cut Rate City.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw something which was, remember, ever seen one of those things where it's like a jewel case for a disc?
Oh yeah, I have several of those.
I saw that too. Mm-hmm. So this thing got the full.
That's like the full-on Hit Squad release.
Yeah. So those were out there. So this game, as I mentioned, this was created by Martin Edmondson, and they worked on this for the Amiga and the Atari ST. I believe this was ported over from the ST. This thing also actually got ported over to a couple other machines. I actually tried one of these, Boat, just to be a completist. It got a release on the Electron. It got C64 release, a PC Engine / TurboGrafx release, and a DOS release. And I actually tried the TurboGrafx release, and I'll explain why in a minute. So, what is this game, Boat? It starts off. Let me tell you something,
brother.
You ever heard? You ever heard the old saying? The old lipstick on a pig. Mm-hmm. You've heard that, right?
I've heard that.
This game, they've piled lipstick, mascara, like clown makeup on this pig. They've got the opening of this is awesome. Awesome screen, good music. Then there's this next opening screen that kind of unfurls. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Isn't it, Bo?
That is it's something you would expect from a Cyclops game.
Yeah. And then there's a third cool screen. There's 3 cool screens just to get you going, right? And then you get to go to where you start the game. Now, this is a 1 or 2 player game, Boat. And this is basically if you think a big empty room at first with a goal on either side. Right, and the screen scrolls up and down toward either goal, and there's a ball, and your job is to shoot other balls at the main ball to drive the main ball into your opponent's goal.
Correct.
Okay. When you break the game down, that's what it is. Okay. Now, let's ignore the rest of that. Okay, that's the game. How do you get this over? Because effectively, you're shooting balls at another ball. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, here's how you do it. You got to make it as Cool Guy style as humanly possible. You got flaming crap. You got demons. You got skulls. You got demons coming down, dropping the ball. You got blood. You got every sort of. You got all kinds of
all
cool
the tropes.
Symbolism. You got it all.
Yeah.
Boat.
You know what this reminded me of? It reminded me of that pinball table that was themed like this too. You know, I'm only surprised that there were no upside down crosses.
I like that table, actually, way more than this. I forgot that. Aside from the demon ref, you've got the skull arm that drops the ball in. You've got a guy that goes, "Get ready." He talks like a demon. There's a demon voice in there. What did you think of the presentation of this thing, Boat, to just get it started off?
Well, I mean, I'm sure that there is a sizable segment of the market of, 11 to 13-year-old boys that this appeals to.
Yeah.
But outside of that segment, it is really not attractive. I mean, like, I think everybody goes through a period in their life when they're like, man, my favorite thing to look at is a skull. But that period didn't last particularly long for me. And the problem is that even the sort of demonic, accoutrement that this game comes with, is pretty shoddy in terms of, the presentation. Like, you've got these demons that are supposedly your audience. They're surrounding the court and they're watching you.
They're very quiet and they're very still.
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen those guys move around a little bit. I'd like to hear the ice cream guy. Give me that.
So that's all you need, right?
And so I feel like they were going for the theme, the skull and demons, but they didn't flesh it out and they didn't spend any time making it look particularly good.
They couldn't flesh it out. It's skulls. Bam. Listen, they went for you're right when you said it. They went for the teenage angst-ridden, the Judas Priest fans at the time. Hey, I love Judas Priest. Don't get me wrong.
You got another thing coming.
Yeah, that's right. And breaking the law. That's how I acquired this game, breaking the law. But the truth of the matter is that they put the makeup on the pig, because at the heart of this game, like I said, I'd played this when it came up. I knew, I'm like, listen, I'm going to go into this with an open mind. All right. But in the back of my open mind, there was a closed mind that was shaking its fist like this, going, no, because I hated this game when I first discovered it. I didn't find it fun at all. In fact, I found it in one-player mode. This is one of the more frustrating one-player games I've ever played, because when you play two players are shooting their balls at the main ball to score a goal.
Right.
And so you got something there, okay? When you're playing one-player mode, they just basically tilt the gameplay, like, so the ball just comes back down. Gravity affects the ball.
Yeah, it's like
It
pinball.
is infuriating.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically like a pinball table, but instead of having flippers, you have a movable ball shooter.
Yeah, which blows. I hate that aspect of the game. I would have rather had flippers. I would have had a lot more fun with flippers. They could have made this a 2-player pinball game, which exists, by the way. I would have been down with it, but that's not what they did. But anyway, I don't want to completely bury this thing until I get through it. So
okay, we should not go on. I mean, this game is totally ripping off another game. Are you going to mention what that game is?
You talk about the board game Crossfire?
Yeah, we have to talk about, because
that.
people, if you're struggling to picture what this looks like in your mind, picture a Crossfire board, except it's square instead of round,
and it's got a mobile turret.
And instead of shooting a glaive-like object, you're shooting just another ball that looks like your ball.
Listen, the glaive wouldn't get anywhere near this thing. There's no. Are you kidding me? Don't even bring the glaive up. Yes, it's funny. I read a ton of reviews of this game, and they all mentioned that game. And I
played Crossfire when I was a kid, and I loved it. It was like Hungry Hippos for big kids.
In reverse.
Yeah, in reverse.
Basically.
Yeah.
I didn't like it that much because it made a mess, but that just. But anyway, yeah, I am aware of it, and yes, there are striking similarities. So. What do you get when you now again? I don't want to bury this thing because I can see the appeal to some people. So what do you get when you get this? Well, it's not just a big empty arena with a bunch of balls in it. There are levels to this. There are 50 one-player levels and there are 80 two-player levels, but 80 of these bad boys. What do they add? You ask. Well, they add obstacles in the game area. Like what? You got magnets, floors that slope, acid pools, hyperspace tunnels, right? There are little mazes that come up. There are things that like some of the bouncers are basically bounce your ball in a direction. They'll have arrows that tell you which direction your ball's going to go when you hit it. You know, like almost like a conveyor belt type thing. So they give you something to do, and that's what infuriates me about this game. Think about that. There's 50 one-player and 80 two-player levels. And I can't get past level 5 or 6 at the most on one player. And sometimes that's just how I get lucky to get that high. I'll never see those other levels. And I don't want to see them because I don't like the concept of using the shooter. I don't like. Now, you've got a choice on the shooter. You can shoot from the goal or you can have the mobile shooter. It doesn't matter. To me, it didn't matter. I always went with the mobile shooter. Amongst the floor tiles, there are power-ups you can get, stuff like a ball explosion. When you get that one, a bunch of balls appear and it goes just it's crazy time. There's also a shield you can get for your goal. You can also get letters. If you spell out ricochet on the board, you get 10,000 bonus points, which is what it is. What did you think of the actual gameplay, Bode?
This game is really, really bad as a one-player game. I would have much rather they just made a bot, a second-player AI, opponent for you to play against, rather than have this sloping board. I played this a lot, and every time that I scored a goal, I was like, well, I did it, but there's no strategy. I mean, it's just like you're you're flailing about, you're firing, like there's no sense that your ammunition is ever running. It seemed like whenever I ran out of ammo, I just automatically reloaded again. It's like, it's not like you're ever trying to conserve shots. Whenever I'm playing a game like this, I'm trying to think about all the aspects of its design. So it's like, okay, in Crossfire, you never run out of balls because you're shooting things and your opponent's shooting things, but you can kind of see how many balls your opponent has, and you can shoot accordingly. It's not unlike Penguin Coon Wars on the on the arcade. Did you guys ever play that in ARG Presents?
I don't think so, but I've seen you play it.
Yeah, it's the same sort of thing where you can conserve balls to keep your enemy from having balls, and you can get an advantage. But in the one-player game, all that goes out the window. The tilt mechanic I just found to be really tiresome. I didn't find it to be fun.
It's frustrating.
Yeah,
to me. Yeah.
I just don't know why they wouldn't at least give you an option to play against a computer opponent. And maybe the fact that this is a budget game, they didn't want to spend the time developing AI, because this is definitely easier. You just make the physics make the ball go down. That's all you really have to do. But now that's the negative. On the positive side, I had a WHD version of this game that allowed me to skip through the levels. And there are tons of really kind of neat level designs. Remember that thing that somebody shared on our Discord a couple months ago, the Yorkshire Olympics or whatever, where it was like all these bar games?
I don't.
Okay. Well, there was this thing that somebody shared on our Discord a couple months ago, and it was called the Yorkshire Olympics or something. And it was all these bar games. And one of
you mean the actual video where they're in the that was great.
I knew if I said it twice you would remember.
No, I thought you were talking about a game, but you meant the video. Yeah, that was great.
So
I love that.
This kind of reminded me of a game like that where you have sort of wacky obstacles on the board. And Indoor League. Thank you, Mitsuyama. I think Mitsuyama actually was the one that shared that. This sort of reminded me of that, where you have these like wacky obstacles that you're supposed to overcome and stuff like that. And I was thinking about, well, what could have just possibly made this game better? And I really think that I would have preferred, like you said, just turning this into like a pinball game, and still having the goal at the top.
And keep all the obstacles.
Yeah, and keep all the obstacles there.
Even the power-ups and stuff. I agree.
But just
that's
losing...
what they blew.
Yeah, losing the movable shooter. I think that would have,
They had everything they needed, except for the fact that they didn't put flippers out there.
Mm-hmm.
And you could have put a couple sets of flippers on some levels.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you on that, Boat. I will say now, there are you can change the ball speed. You can change the number of balls. You can change how quickly they repeat on shooting, how long they stay on the screen. You can how many goals to win, how many games you have to win to finish a set. There's a lot of stuff that you can change. So I like all those options on a game, but I don't like the game. So the options don't mean anything to me. You were talking about a one-player game. I got tipped off that and I'd seen it on there, but the TurboGrafx has this game, and it's got a two-player option just like this, but it's got a one-player versus computer option.
Yeah.
Okay. And I played it. Okay. And I will say the Amiga version stacks up favorably to the TurboGrafx version, although the TurboGrafx version replaces the arrow with like a little guy, and I will say I like that a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, I'd say the Amiga version is better.
Is it the same Skull and Demons motif?
Oh yeah, they got all the same crap. Even the get ready guy was there. The two players on it, it's hard, and they pretty much crushed me. I had to put it on idiot to beat it. But it's still the same game with two people. I've played this two people before, and I didn't like it then either. It's better. The one-player versions I don't like at all.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's nothing they could do short of putting flippers on that would make me like it. I just don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
I can get past the kind of cool guy motif.
Right.
I can get past a lot of the stuff, but I can't get past that.
You can ignore the setting pretty much entirely.
Yeah, I agree. And this gets one thing about this that's funny. Every review I read compared this to the Speedball series. All right, and really, this has zero. I mean, it has you're in an arena and there's a ball,
and there's two goals, but that's about it.
the speedball like blows this away in
Oh,
presentation, in gameplay. Both speedballs blow this away, and the main reason is you can play those, and they also have more character than this. This is just I think you sort of nailed it. I think this guy had a concept for a game that he thought would be fun. Maybe he borrowed the concept, maybe he came up with it, and they put it down and they realized, listen, what we've got here, we're not going to be able to charge Shadow of the Beast prices. Of course, Shadow of the Beast wasn't around. We're not going to be able to charge the big money. Let's put this out as a budget title and try our luck. And as a budget title, if you look at it, let's pretend this is a budget title of, say, I don't know, £5 or £10. Forget the 20.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, you may have something.
Yeah,
if you're
I agree.
If you just like the gameplay, but for £20, I think that's too much. And even really, I wouldn't play this at any. This is a game. We've played a lot of games here that I really like, and I haven't buried a game for a while. But this game is as close as I'm going to come to burying something. I don't like it, and I love Reflections. You know that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I love these guys, but this one didn't do it for me. And I never liked it when I was younger, and I liked it less now. The one-player mode, again, it not only is it not fun, but it actually makes me upset, angry, because getting the ball up the playfield is so excruciatingly difficult.
Mm-hmm.
And the way you use the balls to maneuver the other ball, it's just dumb.
Yeah.
I'd rather it have been bullets or anything else. I don't want to shoot balls at another ball unless I'm playing billiards or pool or snooker, something like that. That's just me. Any closing thoughts on this one?
I agree with you. I think that the concept is just not very good. And I think that these guys, they had to have been inspired by Crossfire, and they thought, well, we should make it different, because I can see the argument too against having an AI opponent. Maybe they were like, hey, we're going to mix it up and we're going to make the one-player game just a different game. But like you said, shooting a ball with another ball is not cool. Like, you gotta make that ball, like, make it look like a D20. Remember that game for the GameCube, Odama?
I don't.
You control a big head.
Oh, I think I've seen that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, that's what I would have liked to see. Like, we're freaking talking in Demon Land here. Where's my rolling
skull?
Yeah, where's my rolling skull?
What was that football game we played where wasn't there a skull as a football, and that was like
maybe like brutal league football? Yeah.
Brutal League.
Mm-hmm.
And see, those guys that had style. Again, I saw what they were going for here, but this is like budget version of that.
Yeah.
And it's a static thing. Thumbs down, Boat, on this one for me. If I gave a review, what does it look like in the Oh, let me give the other reviews.
Okay.
Lemon, and Lemon, Boat, you love them. They gave this the old 6.2, Boat. They weren't infatuated with this one. Amiga Pyre, as they say up in the hills, gave this one 51%. CU Amiga dropped the hammer, 60%. ST Amiga format they didn't score it. The Games Machine, 84%. They were the ones that liked it the most. The One, 64%, and your Amiga, 80%, Boat. So this did not get big scores.
No.
Which is good. It's renewed my faith. I was hoping Amiga Joker to cover this one, but they probably couldn't score it. It was so low on their scale. They had just
they don't give out Z's. Yeah.
How do we do in Discord on this, Boat? Anybody brave it and try it?
Yeah, man. We had a couple of reviews this week. Frodo NL writes, "Wow, this takes me back to the times when I would be at my best friend Robert's place playing Crucifer, which is Crossfire. He had the German version in his bedroom. Nice music on the intro and menu screens. Such a shame that we had to make do with the not very impressive sound effects while playing." I will say that, the sound effects are not good in this game.
No.
Graphics are rather basic. Given that this was developed for the ST and the Amiga, that isn't a big surprise. The biggest disappointment, though, is the way the one-player mode is implemented. Playing against gravity is just not as fun as playing against an opponent. Playing against a friend can be a lot of fun, but if all possible, I would suggest playing the PC Engine or PC Engine TurboGrafx 16 conversion.
There you go.
Which adds a one-player versus the computer option and has in-game music. 6 out of 10 from Frodo and L. And he also notes that if you want a version that is more limited but also easier to play, go for the BBC Micro version. Interesting. I wonder what that looks like. I'll have to check that out. Pixels at Dawn writes, "What a peculiar game. A combination of bar billiards," there we go, air hockey, pinball, and speedball. It looks pretty nice and is actually good fun once you get into it. I can imagine it would be more fun multiplayer because while I enjoyed the single player, I can't see me coming back to it over and over again. Not going to win any awards, but there's a decent score attack challenge in this one. Going to have a blast on it in a quiet 10 minutes. 6.5 out of 10. I think that I don't hate this game as much as you do, Aaron, because it is sort of unique. There's not a lot of games that are like this, and I give it points for that. It's not a great game. It's not a bad game. I think that I would probably go with picks. I'd give it a 6.5. And remember, in England, 6.5 is not failing. It's not like it is here where you get an F if you get a 65.
I was watching look at the chat room while you were speaking there, and a lot of people bring this up, and it's true. If you look at this game, like in a vacuum, okay, it scrolls smoothly. There's a lot of motion on the screen. You could tell the guys over there knew how to code. They knew how to make things nice and smooth. Everything on it's got that demo group feel to it, like a lot of their stuff does. The balls. By the way, also I forgot to mention this: the gravity, the ball physics, they also suck. Horror. They're garbage. I don't like those either. That Pinball Dreams has got no worries.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like
the ball would do all kinds of weird stuff.
Yeah.
There's a key in there. There's a key in the instructions in case the ball gets stuck. That's the pinball thing. If this had flippers, you might have had something. But like I said, with all that cool demo group stuff they threw in, it didn't do it for me, man. Now, before we move off this boat, it's time for I want to hear this. The Reflections ranking of the Reflections games. There's not that many, so it'll be easy for you. Let me go over them one more time. Counting today's offering, Ballistix, you've got Ballistix, Awesome, Brian the Lion, and the Shadow of the Beast series. How do you put these from worst to best?
Brian the Lion's definitely the best. That's the only game that I would voluntarily play at any point. So okay. I've got to put that first. Second is probably Awesome, because Awesome, though not an awesome game, still gives you various gameplay modes that are fun, and I could make progress in Awesome. Third is Shadow of the Beast. Shadow of the Beast is it's iconic, and I feel like given time, once you basically memorize the levels, you can make your way through it. Ballistix has got to be dead last on the list. This one I just didn't have that much fun with.
So you're grouping all the Shadow of the Beast together.
I to be honest with you, I haven't played enough of Beast 3 to because I know that one's totally different. So I'd have to go back and see. My list is similar. I would have Awesome number 1. I liked it more than Brian the Lion, but I like Brian the Lion. I'd have it number 2. I would have Shadow of the Beast 3 at number 3, ironically. Shadow of the Beast 1 would be, or Shadow of the Beast 2 would be at number 4, and Shadow of the Beast, the original, would be the last one. And it's strictly on the basis that it's impossible. Mm-hmm.
So I like, now Ballistix would be at the very bottom. I hate it the most of all of them. So there you go. If you ever wonder how we thought about Reflections, and I love Reflections, but this was a misfire. Get it?
I get it.
I'm
man.
out.
Let's talk a little bit, Aaron, about the new high score challenge that we've got going on right now. It is Pinball Illusions, Aaron.
Yeah, I'm in it.
I know you've been dying for a pinball high score challenge to come up. This is the Law and Justice table.
Which this isn't one I played a lot, to be honest with you, but I've been playing it a lot this week.
This is we've had more entries, I think, in this competition than any so far. So it's a growing competition over on our Discord channel. Mitsuyama has taken what may be an insurmountable lead at 850 million.
Oh, he's got 4 times my best score so far, or not, but 3.5 times.
Isn't your high score 135,000?
No, I've scored higher than I just haven't submitted another one yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So Hasifa next in second place and Barkbit in third, although we've still got lots of folks in it, and we got lots of time too. This closing isn't until towards the end of October, Aaron, so we both have plenty of time to polish up our scores. I know I plan to do a little bit better on this one as well.
I'm getting better. I'm going to be up in there before it's all said and done, Bo. Mark my words.
I also wanted to give everybody a quick update on our Spectrum High Score Challenge. This week, which is going to run until, not this week, so for the next 2 weeks, is going to run until October 18th. This is a game called Penetrator. Sounds uncomfortable.
Sounds a bit rude, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I don't know anything. I have not tried this out. I just saw this pop up today, so I don't know anything about Penetrator. But if
I've tried this one.
If you want to jump on and post your high score, head on over to the Discord channel and do so. And we want to thank both Paul, aka Hermsky, and Frodo NL for running our high score challenges. All right, Aaron. We should probably, as we move on through this, we should wish a very happy birthday to the one and only Neil, a.k.a. RMC, getting it done.
Your boy.
Getting older, our boy.
I think hit the big 4-0, but
that's right.
We like to say that.
The big 4-0.
I'd love to hit that again.
It was 20 years ago. It's hard to believe.
I'll take off. I'm going to hit something here in a minute.
We also want to thank Paul, a.k.a. Hermsky, for choosing Ballistix, suggesting it to the Amigos Game Selection Committee, and for the Amigos Game Selection Committee for voting on it. Next week, Aaron, actually, I'm not sure if that's true. I'm not sure if Paul, a.k.a. Hermsky, suggested that or not. I think that I messed up something.
You drug his
on
name
the
to
document.
the bud, vote.
We're going to have to check with the chat here to see if that's correct, because I think I've messed up the notes here. If Pix, if you could tell me who actually, okay, that is right. Thank you. So
nope.
our next game, I'm always afraid because Paul gets so many picks on the AGSC. When somebody else gets a pick, I always think I want to make sure I get him. So next week, Aaron,
a rare misfire, Paul.
This is a game that we both own boxed copies of, thanks to Roshi. Okay, we're going to be playing. It's Platformer Week on Amigos, and we're going to be playing Trolls.
Oh, okay, yeah, you're right. We do have that one.
Quite an infamous title. I want to thank everybody that supports Amigos on the Twitch, as it's called. You can subscribe to the Amigos on Twitch if you have Amazon Prime for free. It costs you nothing. It gives us something. You can do that, or you can just subscribe through the normal way, and it really helps our channel, keeps us on the air. I want to thank all those fine folks right now. Still Adolescing, Chris Folds, Byte Links, The Slow Norse, Memories of a Spectrum Gamer, Roshi MSX, Wing Chun Wolf, Jost80, Gary Heather, Lamatza, Amiga Live, Frodo and L, Buck Owens, Great Owl G, Retro Jerry, David Zinaz, Jigglebox, Christian Russell, Pints and Amiga, and Mitsoyama. Thank you guys so much for supporting us on Twitch with your subscriptions. Aaron, we had no Patreon song challenge last week.
Getting through that song was a challenge. Oh, man. Oh, you didn't sing last week.
I didn't sing. Yeah, I didn't sing last week. It was amazing. When not singing it, I realized just how many names there are on the list. Because when I'm singing, I'm trying to get through the song in my own special way.
We all are.
Yeah, no kidding. This week, Aaron, you're in for a real aural treat. That's AURAL. We have a different
way with that.
We have a new performance from the one and only Patreon band. The Patreon band is made up of Pixels at Dawn on lyrics, on vocals, on the Vox. We got Refy, aka Reflection, rocking the guitar, the lead guitar. Paul, Bossman, Northern Ireland's crown jewel, transplanted to Norway in a feat of Viking theft. He's on the drums. And I'm playing bass. So we hope you enjoy this Patreon song. If you get the name of the song, you can send it to me at john@amigospodcast.com, and I will announce you as a winner on next week's show.
Heavy systems finding Franklin, Mark Island, Old and Hope, Hermsky, Joe, Matt, A.K. Samuel, Jeremy Jones, Ethan Little, Alien Breeder, Dave lots of raps, a cowbird boy, Lane Denson, Rupert and John Kirk, Find the Bass, Roush, Frodo, and Soul Incisor, Tech Mage, Jurgen, Mr. Covert, Daniel Williams, Bernard Lucas, Jerry Dennington, Todd Love, Commodore kids on the ledge. Captain Crispy kilobytes and caffeine. Free lunch. Gary, Heather, and Jones K-Fox. Hit the Cameron Armstrong. Bob's Terminator. 10-minute Amiga. Retro Casper. Quinn. Retro Man. Kate. Drew Simon. Rose. Carletta. Joseph Harrison. Bob O'Hara. Matthew Larimore. And Craig. Seanzo. Buckbit and the Monks, Joe the Zombie, Roland Berkeley, Alan Bob, Chuck Cote, and the Lord, John Marshall, Matthew Winter Butcher, Dead Boy, Vicky CC, Slow Norris, Stephen Salker, Martin Sahur, Evan Hammond, Blendo 75, Christopher Hassel, Ratty Abbott, Chris Holtz, Whitney Hatcher, Bonjour, Ray Becky, Anna Battersby, O'Brien's Retro and Vintage, Gary Huckasey, Brian Jones, Paul Harrington, Duncan Styles, Taste from the Crib, Josh Lamb, Adam Bradley, Jonas Rulo, Eric Nelson, Tim Tommy Hummerstaff, THT, Daniel Banks, and Darren Coles, Rudolph Barracuda, Jason Wong, Pixie Dawn, and Joe Young Bob.
All right. Well,
Talent. I loved it.
like I said, if you know the correct answer, and I do want to thank the Patreon band. A lot of work goes into these songs. That's why we only put one out about once every 2 months. And especially picks for working out those vocals to make them line up exactly right. It's totally the opposite of what I do. And I want to thank Martin Rail Reffy Reflection for doing the final mix on the audio. He did a great job mixing it all together.
Nice
Not
work,
to mention,
dude.
those guitar parts are nothing easy, man. And he's playing note for note what's going on. So good job, guys. Good job.
I could crush this in Rock Band, but how hard can it be on a real guitar?
All right. Before we go, I would like to recognize everybody that's hanging out with us live. You know, we've got a great group of folks that usually come out with us in the chat on Friday nights, and I'd like to tell you who they are as soon as I actually figure out how to do this. Okay, so we've got of course our brilliant moderators, Duncan Styles and Pixels at Dawn Gaming, doing the Lord's work.
Indeed.
We got Barkbit in the house, Booney 64, Bitstorm, Brock 101, Buck Owens, Cobrian's here, Commander Root, Edvin Helland, Frodo NL, Gary Heather is in the house, Jigglebox here with us. We got quite the crowd tonight. We got Graham NCFC, Ham01, Hermsky, L Curtis B, Mitsoyama, Mr. Cola, Olav Hope is with us, Picard 2010, R-Typer, Reek, Real Reffy, Remastino, Still Adolescing, The Slow Norris, Thicker, VNK, Vigoro Pros, Wing Chun Wolf, and Wishbone. Thank you guys so much for being with us.
Big crowd today.
Yeah,
Holy smokes.
We do record every Friday at 5. So that's 5 Eastern. That's 5 Hurricane time. You can Google that. Just say, what time is it in Hurricane, West Virginia right now? And how does that coordinate with my position? That's probably the most efficient way to Google that question. And you can find out what time it is in your neck of the woods. I think that Pixels at Dawn has actually pinned a message to the Amigos podcast channel on our Discord that allows you to precisely calculate what time 5 o'clock in Hurricane, West Virginia is wherever you live in the world. So you can check that out at your leisure.
That's creepy.
And just a final reminder that if you want to become more involved with the Amigos community and join the fun on the Discord, you can either support us on Twitch, support us on Patreon. As little as $1 a month gets you access to the Discord and all the great chat, the high score competitions that are going on. And $4 a month, Aaron, that's just $1 an episode. $1 an episode gets you a sweet magnet at the end of the year, plus some other perks. So avail yourself of the choices over at patreon.com/Amigos podcast.
Yeah, man.
All right, Aaron, next week we're playing Trolls. It's going to be a good time. We'll see you guys then. Until then, adios.